Okay. Alrighty, welcome guys. Sorry for the delay and the freakouts about time zones, but hopefully you're here. I was having some trouble working out how to record this in case you fall asleep or you it's too late for you. So welcome. Hi Florian, good to see you. I'm going to pin a few tweets so it makes it easier. Martine, hello. Hi Chuck. Okay, so welcome. It's about 7 o'clock here in Sydney. So welcome to my first Twitter space. This is super exciting. Today I want to kind of go through my atomic essay template. I did a big Twitter thread on it, I think last week or the week before, and I was talking to Samantha Postman, and she said to me, I said, it's hard to explain Notion things without showing it. And so she said to me, well, you can pin tweets in spaces. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pin my Twitter thread, and so you can kind of look at it, and you can follow along. So let's try and make this happen. Now, if you do want to come up and ask me a question, just request the mic. You can definitely do that. And let's get this started. So, all right. So, firstly, sorry, I'm just going to pin this tweet so you can see it. Pin. I'm so sorry if you hear planes going over. I live right near the airport. Okay. All right, I think I've done that. So let's get this started. If you do want to follow along, I've pinned that tweet or that thread that I did. So for me, and I was talking to Emily about this the other day. We were on Zoom together, and she kind of said to me, oh my gosh, your template is so overwhelming. And I said to her, but I started really simple. Like I started with just the brain dump, and then I added to it from there. And so I suppose my caveat to all of this is that you have to start with your, what is simple for you, and, what works for you. And I think, templates are great. And obviously I build templates, and a lot of people have downloaded kind of templates that I've built. But I think that the best way to use Notion is to take those templates, but then make things into your own thing, and to evolve your space over time, rather than trying to get somebody's like complicated template and fit it into your workflow. So how I use Notion is I think about how I work, and I love to have everything in one space. I don't like to go searching for things, and so that's how kind of my templates come to be. So when it comes to kind of getting started in, like if I've got an idea, I first things first, I do a brain dump, and it's my rule of thumb in that I never just write kind of an idea down without doing a brain dump, because right at that point is the point where I am the most kind of passionate about that idea. It's like the light bulb moment, and so I think that's the best time to kind of just get a few words on the page, and so then when I come back to actually then whenever I'm writing an essay or I'm choosing which one to write that day, I've actually got like a couple of words or hopefully some paragraphs that I can start with. And I think that's a big thing for writers is that, excuse me, is that sometimes, you're staring at a blank page and thinking, what should I write? Well, I'm literally never doing that because I always have a few lines written down that have kind of come out of my brain at the time I had that idea. So that's the first part of my template is the brain dump, and it has saved me so much time. And especially on days when I'm really strapped for time, it works really well to just go, and I can choose one. Sometimes I'll write a couple of words. Sometimes I will literally write 250 words. They just pour out. And so it just depends, I suppose, what, how I'm feeling. But then I can choose when I go to actually write the essay. So that's the first part of my template. And that is what I started with. And then I started to build from there. So the next kind of part down, and if you're following along, just follow along in the thread. That's how I'm kind of going to explain this. Is then I kind of go to my research. So I've been using Notion for a while now for my Zettelkasten, my knowledge management, how I consume content, and so. I read the book last year, How to Take Smart Notes. I implemented it. And so it was kind of sitting in another space in Notion. And so I was writing these essays, and then I was consuming content, but it wasn't connected in any way. And so one of the things I love about Notion is that you can easily connect databases together. We call them linked databases. Okay, so if I've got a database, my Zettelkasten, for instance, sitting, in another kind of workspace, another page, I can literally bring it in and view it in the template itself. And so that's what I started to do. So instead of, because I didn't use it before, so I literally just wrote essays and I never looked at what I was consuming or the notes that I had taken. And so now what I do is that, like, when I go to start writing, I will just do a quick search of all of my notes. And I'll kind of search around and see, is there something that I can use to kind of support this idea that I've had? And that has been, I think that's really elevated my essays. So rather than just writing kind of, whatever came out of my head, I actually could go back into my notes and say, oh, that's right, I was thinking about that the other day, or I wrote about that in my notes. And so you can kind of, the way I bring it in is I literally search it. I can open up that note, I just copy it, and then I put it into the brain dump. And so that way, now when it comes to when I write my essays, I'm not actually doing a lot of writing. I actually am just assembling. And I think I said this in the tweet, is that, when I come to write an essay, it actually doesn't take me very long, because I take the brain dump, which is kind of, what's poured out of my head. And then I take the notes that I've written that kind of, help to establish kind of that piece, and I put it together. And that doesn't take me very long now. And so I find I never, I never actually found a sacred time for writing. Sometimes I write in the morning, sometimes I write after work. There's so many, I just write whenever I kind of have a moment. But I think the way that has made it kind of, or the way it's been easy to do that, is that I actually already have a whole lot of stuff ready to go. And so I don't have to, I'm not sitting there thinking about what am I going to write. I just choose something. I've got the brain dump. I've got my research, and then off I go, and I just write. And so when I come to craft the essay, I remember one of the office hours, Cole went through kind of the rhythm, like 131, 151, 141, all of that kind of thing. And so what I tried to do is and this is all just about the evolution of it, is that I thought, okay, I want to remember that when I go to write. So now I just in the sorry guys, it's a little plane. That's called the 10-second pause here in Sydney when the planes go over. So I wanted to kind of incorporate what I was learning in office hours and actually have that as part of the workflow. And I think that's important because sometimes, you do all these courses, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm doing these courses and then kind of the information is kind of sitting in one place, and then how I'm executing it is sitting in another. And so I just try and bring as much resource as I can into my templates. So, I don't really, it's not that I tick it off or anything like that. It's just for me a reminder as I go to write the final essay. I'm like, okay, I'm going to, make sure to use, the 131, or I tend to use 131 all the time. That's just my go-to. And so it makes it easy. So then I assemble, and I feel like some days I've got it down to a fine art. I'm like, yeah, I reckon this is around 250 words. And then I go to count the words and it's like 400. So some days I feel like I've nailed it, other days not. But what I did, because what I was doing was I was taking my content, and then I was Googling word counter, and I was kind of going between the two things. And one of the great things about Notion is that you can embed web pages. And so instead of kind of flicking between tabs, I actually embedded the word counter into the template. And so I can just copy kind of from where I'm writing, and kind of in another column, I just put the word count. And that's, that's not a prerequisite, but it's kind of fun. And so I can kind of, copy and paste it in. Okay, that's way too long. Usually it's too long and I have to edit. But I can kind of easily go. And so that's, I suppose for me, ease is a really big kind of value. I want to make sure that everything is kind of easy because I don't have a lot of time to write. And one of my main fears coming into Ship 30 was, am I going to be able to kind of write every day? I've started and stopped quite a few times. And so I wanted, and I think that the easiest way to write is to make it easy. And so everything about my template makes it easy. So everything from, the brain dump through to being able to just access things quickly, count the words quickly, all of that. It's all about making it easy so that I can just get going and publish, okay? So once I've done the writing, it doesn't take that long. The writing is probably the easiest part for me. But I wanted to, and I actually went through all of my stats, so the open rates, so how many people have, how many impressions has it had, to how many people opened the media, to how many people engaged. In my first kind of maybe, 15 or so days, my open rates, impressions to opens, was 2%. And so I really felt like, okay, I have to work on headlines. I have to work on kind of my tweet, how I kind of, write my tweets and that kind of thing. So then as I started to kind of, learn a little bit more about headlines, about Twitter formats and all of that kind of thing, I started to actually put that into the template. And I just use toggles because that makes it a whole lot easier. And so, all of the headline formulas that Cole kind of taught in the office hours, again, I just took those, I put them in the template. And so whenever I'm, I write, and then I'm like, okay, how am I going to write this headline? And I I write copy. That's one of my jobs. I mean, I do online marketing. So one thing that I do is I probably write 10 different headlines before I choose one, because the first one that you write is probably not the best one. And so, yeah, I just take all those headline formulas and I try and find the best one. And now, regularly, my essays, the impressions to open are at about 8% now. So I feel like I'm definitely getting better at that. And it's because I have everything that I need in that template. I'm not going somewhere else to find it. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, what did Cole say in that office hours? Where is that? I'm trying to everything has to be kind of in my template to make it super easy. So once I've kind of done headlines, I have like all these different lists of like tweet ideas and different ways to structure tweets. Then I just literally have a checklist. I open up. I used to use Atomic Essays. Now I'm using Canva. I know heaps of people use Typeshare. So I literally just have those listed and I link out to them. So I just click on it, create my essay. I open Twitter, do that. And so everything's just and the way that I structure it is you just go from the top down to the bottom. So it's like you start at brain dump, you just go all the way, okay, I've done that, I've done my research, I've written the final essay, I've written my headline, I've written the tweet. Now I'm going to go and create the template. So you're just working your way down the list. And I'm the kind of person who likes to tick boxes. So just having everything kind of in order, going down the page is really, really helpful for me. So that's kind of the whole writing process. And then what I do is I try and do this once a week, is that then I go and I review things, because and this is kind of how I kind of discover what's working, but also am able to create new ideas from it. So so instead of kind of trying to do that somewhere else, I put it all in the template. And this is fairly new, and I've only been doing this kind of for the last couple of weeks, this next step, kind of since I finished the actual 30 days. So I just review my numbers and I just go to Twitter. I just grab all the numbers, impressions, engagements, opens, likes, and that's kind of how I've seen my opens to impression increase. That's how I find which ones are resonating with people, and how can I kind of I try and, for me, everything, and if you've read my experiment essays, for me everything is an experiment, and so I want to know, even if it was bad, what didn't work about that? What didn't people like? Maybe it was, maybe I didn't follow the 131 or 141. So the first thing I do is I review the numbers and then I just ask myself what worked, what didn't work, and so then I can kind of I'm learning from it all the time, and I'm kind of tweaking it and perfecting it. So once I've done that, then my whole idea is to create 10x ideas from the one idea. I don't want to run out of ideas. I don't want to feel like I'm waking up and thinking, I don't know what I'm going to post today. And so I basically embed my idea database into the template. And I think, okay, what worked? And how can I then create 10 more ideas from this? Is there something that I can hone in on? One point that I can expand on? Is there a different way that I can say this? Is there, and so I just start to kind of try and create 10 more ideas. I don't always get to 10. I probably get to maybe 4 or 5 at the moment, but still, that's still kind of, 4xing or 5xing one piece of content, which then helps, so my process in writing, and I think I've written about this, is that I'm not very planned. It looks like I'm organized, but I choose what I want to write. And so if I've got, if I've got 10 different ideas, I know I'm going to find one that I'm interested in writing about that day. And that is what has made this process a lot easier for me. And because I'm never pushing to write, I'm finding what I'm interested in out of all the different ideas that I have, and I'm writing about that one thing. So that's why I push myself kind of once a week to kind of, find different things that I am actually, I want to write about, and I can take from the essays that really resonate with people. And I, that's not my idea. I stole that from Dickie and Cole, about just, finding what works and then creating more ideas around that content. And then the last thing that I do is, since finishing 30 by Ship 30, like the first 30 days, I've wanted to kind of, I suppose, explore different content areas. I've wanted to kind of, see if I can, get into maybe some visual stuff, or obviously, audio is something, and maybe some video. And so I just spent some time kind of thinking, okay, how can I repurpose this content? And so I might create, I think one of the easiest ways to repurpose your content is to go back through your essay and find what are the tweetable parts of this, and actually have, then tweet those out as kind of singular tweets. I've kind of got some ideas around, creating some visuals. I don't really know how I'm kind of just exploring audio. I might kind of get into some video as well. So I think there's a whole lot of different ways that you can repurpose your content so that it goes wider. Sometimes I think, even my even my earlier essays, I want to make sorry, excuse me. I want to make sure that, like they're getting out again, or, I still feel like they were really good. And then people learn in different ways. Not everyone is a reader. Some people love to listen. Some people like visual people. And so I think trying to turn your content into something else can definitely work. So, guys, that's pretty much all of my Notion template. It's as I said at the beginning, it evolves over time, and I think I tweeted yesterday that you should start simple with Notion. You should start by solving one problem, and not try and kind of, I remember starting, it was the middle of lockdown, I didn't have much to do, and I dived headfirst into YouTube videos and that kind of thing. But eventually you find your own workflow, and I think that's why I love Notion so much, because you can find your workflow and you can make your workflow happen on it. So if you want to come up and ask me a question, then please feel free to do so. And I hope I know how to accept you. But if you want to come up, just request to turn your mic on, and ask me some questions. I'd love to answer them. Or if you've been using Notion and you want to add something in, talk to me about your workflow. Let me know if you want to do that. You can also, I wrote a big long article about it on my website. So if you don't want to just troll through all those those Twitter threads, then you can just go to my website evchapman.com. Okay, here we go, Florian. You are approved. Connecting now. I so appreciate all you guys in the UK staying up late for this. Hi, Florian.
Hi, Eve.
Hey, how you going?
I'm doing quite well. As I'm not in the UK, it's 11:30 in Germany.
Struggling to hear.
You hear me now? So you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello?